I'm just playing off the phrase, but
He has one show nightly.
Yeah, I'm here all week.
Oh, exactly.
Are we good?
You want my chair? Like Webster.
Yeah, I was trying to lean and then it was like sliding.
It's from the kids' corner.
We're in a budget here. Oh, okay. We are ready. Hey, Chris, give us the. It's time to rock. Or is that me?
That's you. I think you're doing the.
Who's running the show? It's the yeoman's work.
You know, thank your sponsors, you know. All in. We're trying to sponsor.
Yes. Okay, Emmanuel, when you are ready. Believe it or not, we do this on a regular.
Two times a month.
Okay.
Once a business or once, no.
How's this, Chris?
You don't want me to get it? Okay. I'll go in 3, 2. Ready? Danny?
Manny, Al Green, we're ready?
Yep.
All right,
And 3, 2, 1.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the Mic with Mike. It is the premier business radio program in the area. I'm your host, Mike King. We're coming to you today from the Crossroads Art Center. It is our monthly business summit. This time it is on, we are highlighting veteran business owners, and we're going to talk to them about their journey from the military aspect as well as being entrepreneurs. We're going to, and in the end, we're going to always do like we always do, which is end up asking them what gives them hope. I'm here with my man, Chris Mayfield of Perfusion Consulting. He is the sponsor of the program. Plus, he'll sponsor my radio program, as I always say, changing the role ain't cheap or free. So, you know, we do have to pay the cost to be on the radio as well as doing this thing. We'd like to thank our location sponsor, Jenny Kirby just walked by, but she's a masked woman today. We are here at Crossroads Art Center, hands down, the best. Well, at least you could come through. Ladies and gentlemen, Jenny Kirby, the owner of Crossroads Art Center, Staples Mill in West Broad, the best art gallery in town. It is a supermarket size facility here. One, she always helps us and supports the nonprofits. That's one of the things I love about working with her. Plus, she's the first person in Richmond who believes in me. So shout out to Jenny over all these years. Emmanuel from DV Arcade is on the video equipment. Al Green is on the wheels of steel. We go back to our WJFN radio day. Shout out to Service Radio. There we go. I learned how to do this thing there. Yeah, shout out to John Frederick as well. We got my man Jeremy Lassiter is here. He is our business partner. This time we're going to get a moment with him in a little bit, but I'm going to throw it to Chris and with a couple words, and then we're going to have some introductions and talk to these game changers who are here with us today.
All right. Hey, good morning. So when we started planning out this year's roundtables, I started thinking, you know, for my company, for Perfusion, we're a B Corp, and we donate all of our profits to Virginia nonprofits. And that's because we believe in strong communities and developing our community over time. But I think this show in particular is a little special because when you talk about communities and we talk about our tribes, where we come from and the communities we're involved in, the military is one of those, whether you were in the Marine Corps or a service.
Why does he have to put it like that? Oh, if you were in the Marine Corps, or, you know, one of those other things that are out there with, okay.
But one of the things that we all carry out of that is our community, and what I'd like to explore with your help is how do we take that sense of community that we built in our during our time of service, whether it was 4 years or 24 years, and how do we apply that and make that for Richmond, or make that for our block, or make that on our street, that sense of belonging to a community, in this case geographically based. I have some experiences that I took away from the military that helped me, or in business and in life. But it's worth hearing more than one voice and getting different opinions on the value and how you use those things that you took away. So I really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about your experience in the military and then how you use that and apply that every day out there to be successful entrepreneur.
One of the things that we're gonna start, quick introductions, and also, we clearly see where Chris lies, because he told us. So it's Mike King, United States Army. We're gonna do a really quick introduction, then we're gonna jump into the conversation.
Dr. Chris Keith, and I was in the United States Air Force.
And the name of your business is, Richard?
Businesses, okay?
Yes.
So I own a fitness location called Royal Results, and I also have a nutrition location with my business partner, Nikki Gillis, and that is Pearl's Nutrition. And I also own Free Hits and Buys, PHAT, Free Hits and Buys, so FAT, which is a fitness platform, as well as on the PHAT, the FAT Mba.
And I'm Harry Warner.
We're changing the name, we're changing the game, we're changing it. The Air Force is changing the game.
Oh, they're always really cerebral. Always real cerebral. There we go with the Air Force.
How to get my shot in.
You gotta have air support.
Hey,
Always, without support, mission abort.
There's another Marine. So I'm Harry Warner. I was also U.S. Army, and right now I have my company, Warner and Associates Consulting, which is consulting for nonprofit organizations and fundraising and strategic planning.
My name is Anthony Hodges. I'm also an Army veteran. I'm a professional entrepreneur. So I was very successful businesses here in the Science State, produce physical brands, indoor and outdoor science, vehicle routes, and one of the largest facilities here. Old Manchester Camp, where I educate and advise veterans and other people who are wanting to get into the cannabis business. I speak about cannabis. I'm an advocate for it here in the state of Virginia. Old Manchester Camp grows. We have an indoor facility, 5,000 square feet, and we have a retail location as well. And then I have a couple of advisory firms, one entrepreneurship, especially for veterans. The other one is on online gambling. So I'm one of very few in the United States. And then we just opened up a new division in Science State called Canada Design, where we focus on cannabis physical branding.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Kundy. I am an Army retiree, and the business that I have is called International Business Growth Radio Network. It's IBGR.network. That's a call sign for a radio station, but we're more than a radio station. We are actually online consulting and coaching.
Okay, and global. It is truly a global
Yes,
platform.
around the world.
How many countries?
181 listening in right now.
Okay.
Out of 195, yeah.
There
Mhm.
you go. I'm Jerry Howard. I'm the president of Specialty Companies. I was in the United States Marine Corps from 02 to 05 and was a radar repairman there. I was fortunate not to be in a deployable unit, so I got to go to night school, and when I got out, nobody was hiring people with degrees. So I went into entrepreneurship, and the rest is history. It's been fun.
All right, we're going to start off with saying, everyone has that point where you transition out of the military. What did you learn from being in the military as far as being successful in business? And also, we want this to be a free-flowing conversation, but also if you have resources that vets could use, like everybody knows something, or this group or this program helped me. Drop that in there so that people are listening, because this is dropping on December 7th, and everyone knows what day that is. And we did that for a very reason, because we want to celebrate the military and the people who gave all, and also people who also signed on, whether you went to combat or not. You went up there and said, I do, and we gave to our country. So what have you learned from being in the military, and how does it help you in business? Whoever wants to jump in.
December 7th, first of all, thank you to all of our Navy veterans. My grandfather was for our survivors. And it brought me down that line of military service. I did go in the Army because I can't wear white and keep it clean. But camouflage is for me. What did I learn? I learned that the mission is the most important thing. You accomplish the mission. You get it done. You find the way. And as an entrepreneur, you're going to hit a roadblock. You're going to hit a wall, but that's not your stop. That's your backup. And let's go around. Let's go over. Let's go under. Let's find a way to make it happen. And we bring everybody with us.
Yeah, I think I want to add on to that. You know, we got to complete the mission no matter what, but being able to operate at a higher level under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, being a medic, you know, being on the battleground where I'm having to treat somebody and getting shot at because I'm a bullseye. So to be able to do my job and to be able to accomplish that no matter what, while under pressure, that's what kind of made me operate a little bit better as an entrepreneur. I didn't know how to transition that into entrepreneurship until later, but I think that's kind of the thing. And then also learning how to be a leader. I know my grandfather, one of his being still, he was also a Marine, that's been 32 years in the Marine. And he said, always be a leader, never a follower. And I didn't know what that really meant as a kid until I went into the military, you know, and so that's kind of one of the things that the military instilled in me is learning how to be a leader.
Yeah, I'd like to add on that too, because that's probably what I got out of the Marine Corps was that discipleship mentality, you know, helping others. So right now, I actually help other business owners scale their businesses, with small business supplier diversity department. But it's always been a big thing for me to give, to pour into others. And I still use the leadership principles that we learned in the Marine Corps, JJJ. So that's an acronym for all the leadership traits. And then of course you got the leadership principles too. So, but perseverance, I think, is paramount. And, you also have passion. I mean, nobody joins the Marine Corps because they want to.
Like you.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have something going on to sign up, and then of course to sign up during a conflict. And there,
Yeah.
I always thought Marines were a little bit.
Crazy.
I was gonna say sociopathic, but yes,
The next level.
that's a great way to describe it.
It is, you know,
When
it
you
is something.
turn crazy into a useful passion, that's something.
But that's entrepreneurship.
Yes, exactly. My wife says that all the time. You're crazy. I'm like,
Yes,
Yeah.
this is gonna work.
That's what I was going, that's what I was going for.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
I can add something to this. That's one of the things from the military is, we talk about diversity right now. You go in the military, you're thrown into diversity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can be a kid from East St. Louis or New York or LA or Richmond, Virginia, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a group of people that you've got to learn to work with and live with to succeed in the mission. That's probably one of the best takeaways I took, was to be able to work with people, different concepts, different agendas, different backgrounds and everything else, but to meet the mission.
You have your back.
And to have your back to
Yeah, that's a
absolutely
big one.
protect your six, absolutely.
That's how, you know, my business partner, William Easton, served in the Coast Guard. Shout out to him.
Shout out to all the coaches out
The
there.
Coast Guard is no joke, man. They have to fight the drug dealers with the,
Yeah.
you know, the illegal ones that have.
He said, Anthony, he said, not you.
The Coast Guard, the Coast Guard, I tell you what, they got a hard fight.
But it's been a natural progression for us to work together because of the military training. Because we both come from the same mindset. It doesn't matter even what branch of service when we talk about diversity. Like we can all joke about the different branches and which one's the best of the army. But you know, it's such an easy relationship to build because there is that commonality.
And I ask the question, so we always think about the group, you're part of the group, and you hate where you are until you go to the next place. And then you think about, I love that place where I was at. And you think about all the people. When you're in the military, you're part of the group, whether it's a big group, a small group, whatever, and then you go into being an entrepreneur, and you're by yourself. And I never was on the idea I wanted to be, I was a salesman for a company, and then all of a sudden, I'm out there thinking, wow, this is a lot. You know, selling is selling. But when you have all the infrastructure to help, that's okay. Yeah, but then all of a sudden, when you have to be the person, and now you're the person by yourself, let's talk a little bit about the people that you've met along the way, and all of a sudden now you are making decisions by yourself, and it's you kind of against the world.
I'll turn it on this one. So I'm constantly the person, they're like, oh, she's prior military, that's why she acts that way. And it's, you have to go in with a level of confidence, but you can't come in with a level of being slightly cocky, because you want to have that group type setting. And you want to be able to communicate at various levels. And I think one of the things that we do learn is that the different levels of how you interact with people. For example, you're going to have your Air Force, you're going to have your airmen, and then you're going to have your non-commissioned officers, and then your seniors. And then you have to engage with people at that level. And then as you can transition that into entrepreneurship, because you have an idea and you're like, I want to go with this, and you have people like, yeah, no, it's not a good idea. But you have to come in with that passion. And when I was on active duty, one of my airmen said, we were deploying out a group. I was a section commander for a maintenance squad. So we were deploying out a group, and they were like, if you don't do it with passion, you become a liability. And that became so impactful to me, because if I show up and I don't have passion behind what I'm talking about or what I want someone to understand, then now I'm a liability, because I'm not coming through with the truth of the trueness with myself. And it's like, that to me it's very diverse in being able to communicate, being able to bring people on board at their level of understanding. Because sometimes, yes, I have a PhD and I can talk at that level if I need to, but why? There's no need. Have that conversation at that entry level, and then we have that non-commissioned officer level, we transition that into entrepreneurs, and somebody kind of understands it, but maybe you can keep them. That's actually like my business partner, when she first came in, she's kind of like, oh, this is fine. This is good. And now she's like, she just opened her first business. We opened this location last Sunday, and she's like gun ho, but it was kind of like I had to take those baby steps. So understanding what level an individual is and go with it rather than trying to change their whole mind, you can do it slowly and steadily.
Chris, let's talk about a person who joins the Marine Corps and the commitment, or the commitment that we had that got us to the point of enlisting. Let's talk about that. And really quickly, best duty station and the worst duty, because you guys always talk about that. The best place you went to, and then the one you like really, I'd like to erase that one from the memory bank.
Fort Irwin, California is the worst.
You are not lying.
National Training
You
Center
are
right
not
there.
lying.
Have you been to 29 miles?
I've been to 29 Palms also. I've
You
been
can
out
still say
there.
that with a straight face?
They're about one and the same.
They're brothers.
There's one building in Desert. That's 29 miles. You know,
I don't know, for sure, all that either, you shower and you go stand in formation, and by the time you're done, like, why did I just shower? And then you get a little no-see-em, does it, where it's like, not a good thing.
Okay. Anthony.
I can't really say every duty station has a bad, you know, and then every duty station we found a good in it. A lot of them had memories. So I can't really say some are good and bad. They were all very impactful to me, but you didn't know how impactful until you left.
That's
right. And you were always like, man, I can't wait to get out of here and go to the next duty station like I did. Then you arrive there, you're like, I want to back.
what happened to Jonesy? I miss Jonesy.
Yeah,
And all the people who were at the last place, because they become family.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's your
It's
family.
always the people that make the time, and it's always the people anywhere you go. People are what make life life. People are what give us the business. People are what give us the reason to connect. It's all about, it's always people.
Although part was pretty bad.
It was.
But that was, for me, it wasn't a duty. Yeah, it wasn't a duty station. It was more of training.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
pretty bad too.
Hope it's bad.
You know, but those are training missions, you know, as far as duty stations.
So when we jump into the business world, what are some of the places that are out there that are really good for programs that you guys have found that help business owners for vets? Does anybody have anything that jumps out to say, if you're a veteran business owner, this is something that you need to
I
do?
can speak for that. The Small Business Supplier Diversity Department with the state has a scaling for growth program. It's called the Streetwise Mba. And if you're SLAM certified, you're eligible, and you have to have a certain amount of revenue, but it's not as much as you might think to be a participant. The cool thing is Enterprise, the nonprofit out of Boston that wrote the curriculum, most states require the business owner to pay for it. Virginia is the only state in the country that pays for it for free, or that pays for it for you. So it's about a $10,000 program. It's a 6-month commitment, but it will literally teach you how to scale your business and really dig in. First you dig into the weeds to understand all the nuts and bolts, and then you pull yourself out of the weeds in your business and literally can transform not only your business, but your mindset. And that's what I got out of it. I was part of that program a few years ago, and now, of course, I'm mentoring other business owners through that program. It's awesome. Yeah.
programs out there. But the SBA is definitely transitioning into being a great program for all sorts of information of entrepreneurship. They're always out putting out classes and conventions. So for me, it was kind of diving into that and trying to figure out what they offer and learning from there.
So when I was in the military, there was a joke that I was starting to state the obvious, which I'll do yet again, the IBGR.
That's a different one. I mean, that is yeah, you earned that one, obviously, Sergeant state the obvious.
Yeah, and I'm gonna state the obvious. I mean, IBGR, what I do is helping businesses grow, start, grow, exit. So you can listen for free, download the app. You can connect with entrepreneurs from around the world who are still growing businesses even through COVID. Most of it is free. There are some that you can pay for if you want to get into an incubator or an accelerator or hire out these professionals. But it's all about business growth and it starts at the free level. Yeah, state the obvious.
And that is good. Free is always, very appealing, especially when you have a business owner who's out there
Yeah.
started, they're struggling, trying to make it. There are a lot of resources, but a lot of times we don't know. Business owners have your head down
Yes,
and putting out fires, doing all those things.
Yeah.
And there are all types of programs that are out there.
And we get it, because like I said, Bill and I are both, we both serve, so.
It helps.
It may not be actual programs, but there are other people who have done what you've
Yeah.
done. And I think that for any entrepreneur, and I think, again, from the military, what I've learned is you're not reinventing the wheel, and you don't want to do that, but you got to find those people who are mentors who have gone through it, and you have to be willing to ask for help too. Because that is hard, because we've done so much in the military or whatever, and you just want to keep driving and with your head down, as you say, Mike, but you got to be able to ask for help, because otherwise, if you're going to be out there in the desert again, by yourself, you're not going to succeed.
How about the programs and things that there for women vets? Chris, give our listeners, some words of advice for a woman who's out there as a vet, and possibly things that you found, or Don, programs that you guys have found that are woman oriented.
So specifically, it was more so reaching out to individuals who already done what I was doing. But I think there's also a level, so I don't have an actual program. But I think one thing that was really important was to value and respect the community in which I was joining. So I'm a brand new entrepreneur. Now, granted, I have been in charge of, flying a plane, all the things that we've done,
People,
huge things that we've been, but I'm now coming into a new room. And I need to accept my place at the table and listen. And even though my head is running wild and I'm like, oh, I got this, I just listen, because they've already done it. And I love listening to Jim Rohn. He says, if you ever want to hear how to be successful in a business, talk to someone who wasn't, and find out the mistakes that they did. And don't make the same one. So be willing to learn from their mistakes. And maybe they now have a very successful business, but what didn't work in the beginning, so I won't do the same thing. So I don't have a program, but more to just feeling welcome at the table and being willing to listen, and then giving back, as you were saying. Like, I've done this, these are the pathways that I've gone through, these are hiccups that I went through. So hopefully you can listen to my mistakes and you won't make the same one. So coming into the room, be willing to listen, and then what you learn, be prepared to go to another room and train, but come back and listen, and come back and train.
One of the, on social media, you see the question a lot. What advice could you give somebody who's transitioning? And you see, go to this program, go to that program. My advice is always find a community of people that share your interests. I don't care if it's basket weaving, underwater snorkel, whatever it is, find a community in the geographic area that you want to be in. Find the people that are interested in what you're interested in, and then start networking in your career field. Because you'd be surprised when you have someone in your tribe, how much that person will do for you.
Oh, yeah.
And how much help they can be.
Like the market research they've already done. Like, you don't have to go, you don't have to reinvent it. It's already
Yeah,
there. What
it's
can you
there.
add? What value can you add to what's already there?
But it's the one-on-one connection with the
Definitely.
people, getting to know the people, and it's very helpful if they're interested in the same thing that you are.
and I found that most people, if you ask for help, they are so happy to help. I mean, even if they haven't, they're not like billionaire type status, and anybody that's achieved a thing, they want to help the next person not to go do that. That's just a common thread, especially in the veteran community.
Let me ask you, so we talked about the good times that you're in, the camaraderie, when you get out. What's the hardest part about when,
I
when,
didn't know what to wear.
when-
And I needed a training schedule because I didn't know what to do.
I literally had a clothing schedule, like, that was the hardest part. And one of my,
And I still have like one sweater and $5.
you see, I'm on camo pants, I was like, I don't know what to wear.
she dressed for the occasion.
I was like, I always wear workout clothes, I was like, I gotta dress up, like, I gotta wear.
So, I wasn't expecting that.
That was the worst.
I wasn't, no, I was not, I was expecting something way different, the fashion part, I was thinking, I left my heart there, the speed of the
Hairstyle, all
business.
that.
No, it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay. Well,
You
that's great.
Yeah.
That's what motivated me to pay to work out.
I can, yeah.
When I was in the Marines, we were in maintenance, so while we were running tests or whatever, we could lift weights. And then we got an extra 30 minutes of downtime if we went to the gym during chow. So I was like, in the civilian sector, I've got to find time in my own schedule to
But
work
then you
out.
had to pay
That's
for
not
the
cool. Yeah, and they don't pay for it. It's harder being a civilian.
I had to pay to go to the pool? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that.
don't pay the national anthem before the movie?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we cycle back?
Where the
These
commentary
are-
going
of course,
one way.
Yes, Mike, we'll get to the serious answer.
This is exactly what the idea of it when we came up with this, because these are the things that people who are in, they understand.
Mhm.
And people who have never been in, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get the idea. So when we transition, all of a sudden, you had all the support, and now all of a sudden you go to being a civilian and you being an entrepreneur, all of a sudden,
You have to think for yourself.
yeah, and there's a lot of those things. There are systems in place, but what you're saying is you don't have to invent the wheel. Because a lot of the things are there. Somebody has done this before. And the idea of it, how do we make it for the next person? So you guys have had mentors. Let's talk about that, but let's also talk about reaching the next group, because you as women, you guys have an impact. Like I said, Don, you were in the Army. It's like, I met my wife in the Army.
Yeah.
It's not a shocking thing, but all of a sudden, you're like, wow.
It is shocking, and if anybody has seen Bill Eastman, I can't tell you how many people think that I work for him. That we're not equal, that
Right.
we're not partners, that.
So you had done 20 years plus in the Army, and Bill had been in the Coast Guard, but because he's a man, and a lot of times, there's that perception that goes with that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, even people that are on air talent, they think I'm just the backup.
And they don't realize he says, hey, if you want to know what's happening, shout out to Bill Eastman. He was the guy who brought me in the radio. He showed me and he gave me the opportunity to do this thing that I'm doing now. And, he's a good man and he explains how things work. So he sees the talent in you and he says, if you want this thing to work, get with Donna. She is the person who makes this thing work. Bill's the nuts and bolts guy.
He's not the people person.
No, he is not the people person. Yeah.
That's my job.
I think that is the hardest, for me, that was the hardest thing about transitioning from the Marine Corps in particular, is I could go, hey, first sergeant, hey, sergeant major, let's go do this, right? And there was never, and nothing ever came back to like, oh, I'm not gonna do that, right?
You're sure they?
You were going to do it.
Are you sure, sir?
And
You want to do that? Is
then my first job out of the Marine Corps was with QVC in a distribution center. And all of a sudden, there's 50 folks who are like, my goldfish is sick today and I'm not coming in, and I don't care whether you make your quota for the day and for units or whatever. And I'm like, holy cow, what am I going to do now? Because I actually have to convince them, or they actually have to believe in what we're doing, and they don't. Communication became more of a two-way street for me when I left the Marine Corps. And that's probably still one of the hardest skills for entrepreneurs or anybody, honestly, It's made worse when you have 2 decades of experience of one-way, more or less one-way communication. Even if you're on the receiving end of that communication, there's very little room for discussion.
Debate.
Yeah,
So,
that, for me, that was one of the hardest things about transition was two-way communication.
let's touch on leadership. And really a word or two that you got from military leadership that transitions over to civilian life and being a business owner. So,
Leadership, yes. That communication piece is huge. And like you said, it was one-way conversation. And I was an officer who met her husband in high school, who just put on E8, okay? So I'm married and enlisted individual, but I got the opportunity to understand the enlisted perspective a little bit better, I think, than my officer counterparts. So I created something within my own unit, which was called closed door feedback, or closed door communication. People say it's open door, mine was closed door. Come in my office, let's have a conversation. My mom named me Chris. We're gonna take the uniform off, and we're gonna have a one-on-one conversation. So there might be times when my folks didn't agree with me. Come and talk to me as to why you feel like I didn't make the best decision. You know, when we open this door back up, I'm your commanding officer, and that's what we're gonna have. But that, I think, allowed having that conversation with my husband, because he always felt like he could not express to his OICs what was taking place, what he needed from them, kind of transitioned into my understanding. But having a business partner who is completely civilianized, and then you have me, and it's like we clash constantly. Communication has been a very difficult piece of the puzzle, but trying to be more open and listening. And I think we deal with things differently. It's like, oh my gosh, it's on the fan, it's on the fan. It's like, right, but what are we gonna do about it? Stop saying it's on the fan. Let's move forward. We gotta hit our numbers. How are we gonna do that? And then convince the individuals how they're going to do it. So I think that's probably the biggest part of being that female who comes in the room like, oh, she knows, and then you have those names that can be tagged along with being a female. That's very directive.
Yeah.
Who kind of
The
knows what
guy's
she's
all
talking about.
hardcore, but the woman, she's a,
a different name.
yeah, it's a Halloween witch.
Not very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to have that face of the business who's the nice side. And then there's the person that's back to that to me that's like, okay, you need to tell them this, and then she can translate it into nice.
Or as my wife would say, the kumbaya words. Like that, you know, the nice words that we all can just get along. So that's something that you guys have. How about leadership with your
Well,
perspective?
I would pick up on, from the standpoint, that you've got a hierarchy, of course, in the military where everybody has a leadership, but it's also following to some respect. I think that following is part of leadership as well, but it's gone from taking orders or giving orders in the military to going back to saying, now you got to convince people to whatever. Again, we're all working on a different mission, whatever our business is and what our goals are, but it's not a matter of saying this will be done and you're going to do this. It's a matter of then saying this is why we're trying to achieve. And it goes back to me, it's a planning kind of thing, strategic planning, and convincing how whether it's subordinates or peers or even superiors of why it's important instead of the order kind of thing.
Anthony, you're a serial entrepreneur. I mean, I didn't even know about the gambling thing, so you just got everything covered. So now you're down with the CBD, the cannabis, and you know the gambling part.
We need some support.
Hey, whoa, that's doing it, man. I hear you. And
There's
then-
12-step program.
Now,
That is, so you're funneling folks over there, helping them out. Let's talk about leadership, because you go across businesses and different groups, as well as you're totally well known in the nonprofit space about the groups that you help as far as like the mental, mental health. Shout out to our girl, Heather Marie Speaks.
Yes.
So, congratulations on the big thing you did
Yeah,
out
I think
there.
they won this
Fitness.
America Fitness for listening.
So shout out to her, Heather Marie Speaks, she owns Queen Bee and Company. She really does some great work as far as domestic violence and mental health awareness. and she wraps it up in the whole beauty thing so that people don't see it coming.
Yeah.
So, and so RV Fashion Week, her and Jimmy Butter, a big part of that. Anthony is a real big supporter. Let's talk a little bit about what you've learned going across different businesses and leadership, because the folks you deal with in the cannabis industry are not the same folks you deal with in Science
No,
or the other business.
no.
No,
They're all
like,
different
no.
aspects. They've all been passions of mine. The gambling thing I just kind of fell into was a great opportunity. And we just did very well at it during the time of what we considered like our crisis of COVID. So it was time for us. But cannabis industry and of course all these other industries, they all have different aspects of people that you deal with on a daily basis. And one of the things as a military leader is that you learn how to adapt to every environment and learning how to adapt to your soldiers because they're always in and out. So learning how to be empathetic was kind of one of my traits as far as being a leader in the military. It was a lot more difficult once you transitioned into civilian because like we were telling earlier, you place an order, I'm trying to talk to my employees like this.
And there's the hand going like this.
And they're like looking at me weird and they're like complaining to my GMs that he's so serious and he's just structured and he doesn't give us any time off. And I'm like, time off? What? You're only working 4 hours. What do you mean time off? Bro? How many breaks do you need? So you know, it was
One an hour.
exactly. So like it was a very difficult transition as being a leader in the military into the civilian. So I had to kind of learn how to use my empathy that I was using as far as military leader into a civilian leader, which was a hard transition and it took me a long time to figure out.
Anyone else on the leadership piece?
I was just gonna say that there's also similarities because I was a non-commissioned officer when I got out. But as a non-commissioned officer, you're still in charge of trying to get a thing done, whatever it is. And you've got people that are transitioning out that you're overseeing. So let's say they only got 6 months left in. They might not be shaving, they might not want to show up. There's all kinds of things. So I think in both regards, you have positional authority, which says, hey, I'm the sergeant or whatever, and I can tell you what to do. But you also have to have experiential authority, where you're saying, hey, this is what it's going to take to get the job done. We need you to help us. So that persuasive piece, I think, can lose those gears of the military as well. But you know, I always led from that perspective, trying to be, hey, let's get the job done. So you know, the OIC here will get off our back, and that works as well. But I think that is very transferable to the civilian sector.
Chris, let's talk. So you're the operations guy. Let's talk about the operational piece where when you look at it from military style living to entrepreneurship and the similarities there that a lot of businesses could really use because the person has a dream, but those dreams need to have some guidelines and they need to be within these lines. Let's talk about how to make that a reality.
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, a lot of people when they either first start their business or they're thinking about starting a business, they kind of have this vision of the wild, wild west where they're just going to show up and say, I'm here, and it's going to happen.
And they have the perfect plan.
Right,
Just
the
follow the
perfect plan.
plan.
And they make some assumptions that everything is going to go their way. And we all know that's not the reality. But I still think here, if you think back to our time in the military, everything was planned. Obviously, what you were going to wear, when you were going to wear it, what you were going to eat, your menu's done for a year because you got to buy the food, you got all those things. So everything from the time you get up, well, including where you go to sleep, but everything is planned and it's annoying, right? Sometimes it gets to be annoying. All this rigidity, I don't have any personal freedom, all this, but there's value in having that plan, but then being able to adjust it. So I would say that, make that plan and then review it frequently, but stay on your plan, work with your plan, but if it's not working, then change the plan, but don't just ignore it. I see business owners all the time. I'll sit down with them, okay, how many, cold calls do you need to make? How many home visits do you need to make? How many office visits do you make? And they can do the math. They'll say, okay, I need to make 100 a week, or I need to make 50 a week. And then they do 10, right? And then it doesn't work. And oh, my plan is terrible. Your plan's not terrible. You're just not following it. So make a plan, stick to your plan, and then adjust it based on the second step of consulting is understanding the reality that you're living in. Understand your own reality and adjust your plan once you get into it, because you don't know what you don't know until you start doing the work. So your plan isn't terrible. You just didn't have enough knowledge when you initially made your plan to make it realistic and successful. So add in that flexibility, but do have the plan. Do have the plan, because if you don't, you're in trouble.
I ran into this crazy business owner who told me that they had a 10-year plan, and they had it when they started when they were what, 7 or 8 years old. Chris Coop, you know, a 10-year plan at that age. The floor is yours.
So, you were very close on the age. I was in the 7th grade.
Oh, you were in the 7th grade? Okay,
Yes.
I know
Where-
exactly what I was doing in the 7th grade.
Where my, not gym teacher, but my phys ed teacher.
We learned that.
That's right.
There's a
That's right.
difference.
You go
They
to-
don't,
You
you
go
go
to
to
the
class
gym.
in
for
the
your-
gym.
that's not the gym teacher. Yes.
Then that was the assignment, was to write your 10-year plan, and that kind of got my mind going with that. And it's changed multiple times, obviously, since then. Didn't plan on going into the military, and 9/11 happened, literally watched it, and I was like, I'm raising my right hand, I'm gonna support the defense Constitution of the United States. Plan on doing 30 years, ended up being able to do 8 just because of what was happening within our country. So then it changed again. But like you said, that 10-year plan is so important. And I realize in so many communities, just in general, that conversation does not take place at the table. Dinner table, out with friends. And I even talk to all the entrepreneurs, where do you see your business in 10 years? And it may not be there, but at least you have a plan that you're working towards. So yes, I sit down with my team and I'm like, write down our 10-year plan. And every quarter we do it again, because if you have your 10-year plan, and say in 10 years you want to be a doctor, or in 5 years you want to go to law school, sounds silly, but sometimes when we build this plan out, but you have to backdate it all the way to a month from today, where do you want to be? As business owners, we know what we want our numbers to be a month from now, but it's also not personalized, where we want to see our personal lives in 2 years. You know, I'm like, or in 10 years, all the way back down to a month from now, so we can hit our 10-year plan, a 10-year goal. So Mike's always joking at me, because the last couple of times we talked, I'm like, 10-year plan, the 10-year plan. He's like, you keep talking about the plan. So when you brought it up, Chris, I was like, ha.
Okay, there you go.
He's talking about the plan.
Hey, because he is a plan guy.
And I think that also comes, granted, I had it before, but that military structure, and it allows me to say, am I doing it? And then, so on the date of the birth, my birth, I don't put in my birthday, but let's say I was born on the 27th. On the 27th of the next month, I will review, what did I want to accomplish? What did I want our business to accomplish in the last 30 days? Did we do it? If not, why? And holding myself accountable as to why we didn't. Did I not make the cold calls? Did I not make the visits that I was supposed to? Personal life, did I not have the time with my husband? Or did I not have, time with my kids? So I need to hear I can do what we want to be. But I'm still glad that you brought that up,
Well,
Craig.
you know what else the benefit of having a plan and working your plan is the self-confidence and the confidence in your structure that you gain from actually achieving the results from your inputs. Because if you make a plan for this 12 months and you start accomplishing those on a quarterly basis, you get that confidence. Then you start speaking from a place of authority and of knowledge, and that helps you sleep better at night. And it allows you to be creative, and allows you to be bold, and it allows you to do new things because you're not scared of them. And that's ultimately where we fail, is when we get scared and we go, oh, I'm gonna go find a job.
I think due to the wins can be so subtle, that if you're not intentional about looking at where you've been, all of the accomplishments that you've had, even though they're little subtle ones, it's little, drops of blue dye in the water that is coloring the whole glass, or coloring the whole ocean, and when you don't see each little drop,
You gotta
really-
celebrate
Yeah, and you gotta be intentional about looking back to find them sometimes.
Or writing them down, and then consider
Yeah.
if that happens.
Yeah, or like, I haven't gone
Right.
anywhere, I'm still in the same place. No, you're not. You're definitely in a different place.
And what I would say is don't forget to dream. So once you get your plan in place, then take some time in that comfort zone that you've established with the plan to think about, okay, what's the 10X idea? What's the 100X idea?
Yeah.
And just let it marinate, and see what happens.
We always talk about, so the dream, he said, still dream, work the plan, and then celebrate successes. Even because people always want the big, huge success, like, I'm in the same place as I was, and you're like, no, you're not. Let's talk a little bit. So we come through COVID, a lot of businesses made it, a lot of businesses didn't. When you guys look at businesses or nonprofits or groups that really struggle, what do you think was the reason that they struggle? Because some folks kind of made hay during this last period. When you look at businesses that didn't make, what do you think their problem was?
They're in the comfort zone.
She just put that one just boom. And that's just okay, stating the obvious.
Like, you got to hit the Holy Spirit.
Exactly. I'm ready to take offering after that. So they were in their comfort zone and they didn't move.
No.
You have to be, we come up with contingency plans, this is what we're gonna do. But if that doesn't work, we're gonna do this.
That's right.
And some people feel like we
We've
shouldn't
always
have
done
a
it
plan
this way.
B. And that's not, I don't think that's a plan B. If this isn't working, how can we still make plan A work, but implementing something? So when COVID hit, people weren't able to adjust. Like you said, they were comfortable and there wasn't enough leniency within their plan to allow for them to continue to work towards their dream, towards their goal. And they just gave up and was like, well, this isn't working. Rework the plan. How can you make it work? How do you make it adaptable to what's taking place right now,
That's right.
rather than just throwing in the towel? Yeah.
To that. I'm a massage therapist, say, for instance, and everything is closed down. Well, can you make some videos that maybe you can sell to get some revenue? No, I can't do that. Well, why can't you do that?
Getting outside the box.
Yeah.
Your breakthrough is right outside of your comfort zone. So if you
Yeah.
get outside of that, okay, I'm not comfortable, now we're gonna have some growth.
Your breakthrough is right outside your comfort zone. Write that down, guys. Write that
Yeah.
down. That's gold.
That one is because you said we were uncomfortably comfortable.
Yeah, it's like there's that saying, the frog in the pot. The water's warm, and then they turn up the heat slowly. And so the next thing you know, that you're the special of the day, you're the fried rice on the plate, because it just was so uncomfortably comfortable over a period of time. And then you're like, how did I get here? What just happened? You allowed it to happen, and that's harsh to say. I'm so sorry. This is Coach Donna right now. I'm so sorry. It is bad. It's hard to say. It's hard to accept that we allow ourselves to fail. But there's so many times that we do. We allow ourselves to fail because we just sit in a pot of water.
And you look around and you see the other people, as military folks, we know when it's time to break out. It's time to go. We've all been, well, maybe not you guys, we've been in the club late at night. And there's certain times when it is time to leave. Because there's a lot of things that are gonna happen, and most of them are bad. But we look around at other people who just sit there and wait. And you're like, what are you waiting for? The house is on fire.
Yeah.
And they just sit there and they wonder how come they were burnt up. Well, you waited.
And not to point the finger at other people or to say, we're better and you're not. It's human nature to run on habits. If you drive somewhere and you get there and you're like, well, how did I just get here? You just ran on habit. And that's what we do. We're habitual creatures that run on habit. The successful business owner is the one that takes the time to make the plan, to work the plan, to adapt, adjust, to overcome, to move forward, to get out of the pot of water and to make a difference.
That's right. The program is On the Mic with Mike, ESPN Richard. This is our monthly summit. Mike King, Chris Mayfield of Perfusion Consulting. We're here with the panel of rock stars. We're talking about veterans, business, life, and everything in between. They're dropping nuggets of knowledge on us. One of the things that we always end up and we talk about with folks is what is your hope? Chris Mayfield has taken this to a whole nother level. We've run into folks who are hope dealers, and the entrepreneur and Chris Mayfield said, there's something there.
That's right. So,
There you go.
the basic definition of a hope dealer is a business owner or someone that runs a business that are doing great things out in their community and contributing outside of their own organization, purely for the benefit of others. Right, so, almost daily now, I do a social media post on 2 or 3 different social media platforms, to highlight what I call the hope dealer. And it just gives them public recognition, for the good things that they do, and they're not asking for it. But I feel like it's important to recognize that specifically business owners, entrepreneurs who are doing good things in the community. So why? Why is that important? So small business is the largest financial influence in the world. So people that sit at this table have an outsized influence in your world, which means that the dollars you spend supporting your own life and supporting your business can be a influence factor. And as a consumer, I'm going to make a decision to spend my money with businesses that are doing good things inside my community. So given a choice between going to a doctor or a dentist or a masseuse or a window guy or a sports drink, I'm going to make sure, not a sports drink, nutrition drink, that I'm spending that money with people that believe the same thing I do and are supporting my community. And so there's this, you've all heard of the 6 degrees of separation, the theory that you can cut everyone in the world by going through 6 people. Facebook now has whatever their magic algorithm is, and regardless of how you feel about Facebook and information sharing, that's now 3.5. So you can reach everybody in the world by connecting with 4 people. And if we take our own time, which by and large is free, right? Whether it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're sitting there, you can't sleep because you got a lot of stuff to do. Take the time and recognize somebody, business owner, that is doing great in your community, and help that person grow their business, because they are going to prove positive by their own actions, help you grow your community. And it's really that simple. It costs you nothing to find a post or create a post, comment on it, and share it. I love what this person is doing, and here's why. And if we do that, in a matter of time, we will reach everybody on the planet. And it is such a powerful thing, and it costs you absolutely nothing. And I'm not asking you to spend money that you wouldn't ordinarily spend. I'm only asking you to be selective about where you spend it. And oh, by the way, I'm going to help you because I'm going to recognize these people publicly. So I created the Hope Dealers. It was a catchphrase that we heard during one of our nonprofit panels. And so I'm trying to grow this Hope Dealer network. And so what I ask for you is, you find something on social media, share it, and say why you love it. And don't be afraid to put that person's business website on there, right? Because you want to grow their business for them, because you know they're doing good things. And it's that simple. And we can reach everybody in the world doing so.
One of the great things about the program on the Mic with Mike and my business model is what Chris Mayfield just said. He's a B Corp, so in essence, he gives all the money away outside of what it takes to run the business. And that allows me and what we do. So whenever I have an idea or this right here, we give away airtime. We give it away because of the partnerships I have with Chris Mayfield, or whether we're partnering with Donna and Bill Eastman. Chris Coop is here. You know, Jeremy Lassiter, we're going to talk to him in a moment. They give us the ability to go out there and do what no one else is doing. So that when Chris talks about that right there, he's put his money where his mouth is, which is basically what nonprofits are out there. We give nonprofits, businesses every day time to come on and talk about what they do. You know, we're giving them 30 minutes, whereas they may get 2 or 3 minutes before. And that's why we're out there shouting the businesses out. So we're here, you guys promote what you do, talk about what you're in your business, because we're celebrating you as veteran business owners and people out there making a difference in the community. Really quickly, we're going to talk about, you guys are going to say what gives you hope. And also, if there's a nonprofit that you want to shout out, let's show them some love. That's what we do here as well. We're just going to start down on the list.
Yeah, so the local church, I mean, I'm born again faith faith-filled Christian, and so I think the local church gives me hope personally. But that faith doesn't have to come from just the local church. Great example of someone that brings hope, in my opinion, is Jason Haig and his organization called Leashes of Valor. They actually train dogs that are 100% donated to veterans that suffer from PTSD. And if you haven't experienced what that might be like, if there's a loud bang in a restaurant, you know, that can put you in a different place as a veteran who suffers from that disorder. So a dog can be right there. A couple of pets of the dog can calm it down. So Leashes of Valor does an amazing job of contributing to the community. I think check them out.
Are they local?
They are.
Man, that's a,
I met them.
Chris, we gotta get on that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, Leashes of Valor.
Okay, cool.
What gives me hope is a promise that to everything there's a season. And so I see the seasons in nature. We're getting ready to head into the winter season now. I know what winter looks like. I also know that there's spring that comes after winter. It's very predictable. And so in my life and in my business, it's always about what season am I in and what season is coming next. As far as the nonprofits, there's so many of them out there. I'll say Yes Less House is one that I like to promote. Angela Brown does a fantastic job for helping women of domestic violence and brings them into the home and to be done without finance to put them back on their feet. It's not just a place to stay, it's actually education.
One of the things that where we always say to people, you just can't drop names. We didn't drop the names around here. You got to make the connections after that. Because one of the ways that we find is that people out there doing great things. There's 1,000 nonprofits out there. You know the big ones. Everybody's getting, people are dying to help them. It's those one or two people, one person operation, it's a passion, they got a board, and then it gets real thin after that. But they're out there doing good things. So if you guys would connect us to them, that way we can give them a platform to do what they do.
I'd have to say for myself, so I know I've spoke a lot about cannabis, and when I came out of the military and went to the VA, for every issue I had, they gave me a medication.
Shout out to the Blue Clinic.
I know.
But we've had the conversation about the VA.
Yeah, and then I got side effects from the medication, and then I was given another pill. And pretty soon, after a while, you're with the closet full of pills. My life wasn't going great. I was depressed because I couldn't be a normal person. And for me to function, the VA said I had to take all these pills to be a normal person. And I wasn't normal. I was depressed. I was almost suicidal. And it got that down for me that I just had no hope, really. And a friend of mine introduced me to CBD. I started taking it on a daily regimen. Of course, still with help my psychologist and psychiatrist, I was able to wean myself off all of medication. So it was real impactful for myself that I could go down a holistic avenue and be healthy and be myself again. So that's why I'm a huge advocate for cannabis and CBD. So Virginia Normal, shout out to them for putting this legislation together to get Virginia to be legalized in cannabis, and they're still working on it today. And of course, Virginia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I'm really involved with them, but they gave me the platform to be able to learn how to be an advocate and being able to go out there and help other people and other businesses and minority businesses. And like I said, there's numerous of nonprofits. And I just kind of speak that everybody should just be engaged into this community, whether it's close or far, but be engaged, go out there and help. It definitely comes back to you in so many numerous amounts of ways. And you also get to meet with great, wonderful people as well. And you find those mentors. So yeah, those are kind of my hope for them.
Cool, there you go, man.
Yeah.
Hope for me, I'm gonna keep it kind of in the family. It's in the veteran community and in the service community. Because of my service for 5 years in the Army, it was so impactful in my life. It was life-changing for me. The hope for me is everybody else who has also served. We're like 1% of the nation's population who have actually served. And I put that in context too of the nonprofit that I will give a shout out. Since I'm in the industry as a consultant, I got to be a little careful. There's so many of them, as we have said. And full disclosure, this was a past employer but again, within the family was the Virginia War Memorial. And that is, there are heroes among us. There are heroes next door that we will never know from what they have done in their military service. I was not combat. Many of them are, and one of the things that I was able to meet down at Virginia War Memorial were many of these heroes, combat heroes. I'll just shout out Paul Galante is one of them. He was a Vietnam POW for 6.5 years. And people like that, they walk amongst us and we will never know. And those and us and those who serve are what give me hope because they step up for duty, honor.
Shout out to Jeff Hopkins. He's always out
You
there.
know, Jeff,
Yeah, Jeff's out there getting the word out about all the great things going on down at the War Memorial. Because like you said, when you see that old person or you see that young person or the man or the woman just walking down the street, you don't know their story,
don't know
you
it
know.
all.
And I always give a shout out to the VA because going to the VA is not like going to a regular medical facility. This is an adventure. This is an adventure and everybody has a story and they're willing to share it. And it makes you feel good to be part of the group because people are talking about, Afghanistan. There's guys that are talking about, Vietnam. There's an old guy in there. He's talking about the,
Still World War II.
Exactly.
They're
And-
still around.
but the one thing it's common among everybody is you went and served. And so, and there's that brotherhood that leaving with the women, it's a brotherhood of people, like you said, 1%. If you think about that number
It's minuscule.
it is. I didn't know, I never looked at it that way. Man, that's a small number. Quickly.
I find hope in my two daughters. There's a song that says in my daughter's eyes. And as I try to be, as it says on my shirt, wife, mom, boss, but pulling it all together because I'm raising two young women who are going to make their footprint into this world. But bigger than that, I'm an example of a minority woman who is making a footprint. And I know that there are so many that are looking at me that I won't know that are watching. And it gives me hope and understanding that I can have an impact in their lives. And then through what they say, like I say something all the time and my daughter starts saying, I was like, wow, how repetitive it is, but it becomes part of their day in, day out. And I think the nonprofit that I would like to recognize is called Mercy Mall. And Mercy Mall is a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that, if you think about the Goodwill, where they charge people for items, Mercy Mall actually gives the items to families who are in need, families that might be displaced. And it's a really nice little boutique, and people go shopping there, and they take away that part of we're giving you something, and they feel like they're getting the entire shopping experience. To Missy at Mercy Mall, they're doing an amazing
Those
job.
are your neighbors, aren't
They are my neighbors. They are my neighbors.
they? That's really cool concept. I like the place.
It's great.
It is a mall that you can go in there and not feel maybe like the situation that you're in,
Definitely.
that you're helping someone in. So shout out to the Mercy Mall.
Definitely.
Alrighty, on the mic with Mike. We're coming to the end of the Veteran Summit. We'd like to thank, really quickly, let's go down the list and tell people your business contacts and how people can engage you.
Super.
All right, Chris Mayfield for fusion-consulting.com, or give me a phone call, 757-373-3109.
Gary Howard, Specialty Drapery is www.specialtydrapery.com, and Solar Film is solarfilmva, the initials for Virginia.com, and you can reach us at 804-935-7100.
Donna Kunde with International Business Growth Radio Network is www.idgr.network, and the email is info@idgr.network.
Anthony Hodges with Richmond Signscapes. That's www.richmondscienscapes.com, and Old Manchester Hemp, oldmanchesterhemp.co.
And Harry Warner with Warner and Associates Consulting, helping nonprofit organizations fulfill their missions. And you can reach me at www.warner.associates. Number 804 357-8157.
And our ambassador group, and you can find information about Pretty Hips and Thighs, which is our workout, as well as me being the Pretty Hips and Thighs of Fat Doula at www.prettyhipsandthighs.com. You can also find out information about our fitness classes at www.royalresultswellnesscenter.com, and you can find Pearls Nutrition on Instagram, which is PEARLD Nutrition on Instagram. Yeah. And I can reach area code 804-647-6358.
Alrighty, as you can see, on the mic with Mike, I've changed places. You always say that, changing the world isn't cheap or free. You gotta show some love to the people who helped make this happen. Want to introduce Jeremy Laster here. So if you have tax issues, we're going into that season. This is the man you need to talk to. Let folks know your business and some tips for people going into 2022, so after they call you.
Okay, yeah, name of the business is Tax Resolution Accounting, and we focus in on, helping people save, have tax strategies and saving money to the office, pay the IRS in pocket. And then also people who are on the other side of that, where they're in like debt to the IRS, and they just want to get out of that mess, and they just got the weight of the world on their shoulders. So, you really need to talk to someone. I know sometimes it's easy to hide. But if you just give us a 10-minute conversation, if you don't want to hire someone to help you or tax resolution accounting, maybe you can help yourself. You need some type of motivation.
So the idea is don't hide, because they're gonna get you.
Don't hire. Yeah, eventually they'll find you out. I think some people will slide under the radar because nothing has happened to them over certain years, but they will find you. So just go ahead and let's see if you find a way to get out of that.
All right, tax resolution is the place. Make sure you contact them, partners of the program, and how can people find you one last time?
Yes, we're taxresolutionaccounting.com. We're on social media, and you can reach us at, I forgot our 804 number, but 434-338-7149.
There you go, Jeremy Laster. I'd like to welcome him to the family. That's how he did things. Gonna throw it to Chris Mayfield. We're just about done. Chris, go ahead, man, take us home.
All right, so I never get to answer the question, what gives me hope?
You,
He forgets me every single time. I hope one day Mike will remember to ask me what gives me hope.
you know what? You can take a Marine out. As my mom said, you can dress them up, but you can't take them out. All righty.
I don't think it's the same what gives me hope. All
What
I said
gives
was
you
I hope
hope,
one day
man?
you asked me,
That was hope.
but
That's right.
I hope, so what gives me hope is we do meet every month. And we keep looking for nonprofits, and we keep looking for business owners that support the nonprofits and people that are interested in doing great things in the community, and we always find them. There's always people out there looking to make their world a better place, and those are the people that are hope viewers. Those are the people that give hope at the time when you desperately need it. So that's what gives me hope, Mike. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. It's just me, Mr. Caring. That's me, Mike King. We'd also like to thank Jenny Kirby and the great folks here at Crossroads Arts Center for hosting us. Emmanuel with DBRK, Al Green on the Wheels of Steel. Al Green, let people know how they can find you out there.
Find me.
Well, find you positive noise or positive vibes, or the name of your business.
My business is Positive Noise Music and Media. I create original music, broadcast quality, as well as radio commercials, audio for TV commercials, audio for anything.
Radio show on.
Radio show on
WQCN
Choice
Choice.
105.3 Sundays from 2 to 3. It's called New Spirit Radio. It is gospel dance music. 1 hour straight through mixed like you're in the club in Baltimore. It's all gospel lyrics.
Yeah.
Hey, she knows the move.
There we go.
And the website for that is newspiritradio.com.
All right, you can find Manuel DBRK. How can people find you? It's DB, the letter C, letter B, arcade, like the video games, for the greatest videos around. Make sure you check out our Emmanuel with DBRK. Chris Mayfield, Thursday, 6 a.m. ESPN radio personality. He's out there doing big things. Donna Cundy. I'm global now. Thanks to her. Yeah, okay. Well, all right. So, Donna, real quickly, how can people find the network?
IBGR.network, or go download the app, look for Business Growth Radio wherever you download your app, whether it's Apple or Android. And get the app on your phone, and then you can just listen in and get everything. World business right in the phone.
Sorry to state the obvious. Shout out to our man, Bill Eastman. We gotta go. We're out. Take care. Thanks now.
I don't know why I get counted as title.
So, wait, 1 second, y'all. Don't just.
We went way over.
We need a class, 10 minutes.